Shabbat Shalom. Many times we find ourselves at a moment when we must choose between two suboptimal options. When we must decide which is the least bad way to go. When we find ourselves weighing one value against another. Maybe it's choosing between moving a frail parent into a facility so that they'll be safe, or keeping them in their beloved home and living with the worry that they may be at risk. Maybe it's choosing between checking your teenager's messages, breaking their trust because you're worried about possible risky behavior, or respecting their privacy and living with the uncertainty of what you might miss. Maybe in an institutional context, it's choosing between what's best for your organization or preserving relationships with colleagues who may be negatively affected. And maybe it's choosing between voting for a candidate whose values resonate, but whose positions on core issues feel threatening, or another candidate whose flaws you can't ignore, but whose leadership feels less dangerous. We are coming to a point in the Torah when we will soon begin the story of Abraham. And next week we will read the words, God calls out to Abraham, Lech Lecha. Abraham is called to leave his homeland and go to an unknown place that God will show him. It's a daunting charge. It's hard to imagine what it would be like to leave everything familiar, everything you know, to follow a sacred voice guided only by faith and trust. When have you changed paths? When have you made a profound shift, choosing a new direction in your own life? What helped you to take that first step? Often a new path emerges when an old one is no longer tenable. The sages suggest that this was true for Abraham. They tell a story that his father Terach owned a shop filled with idols, gods made of wood and stone. One day, Terach went out and left young Abraham in charge. A man came in to buy an idol, and Abraham asked him, "How old are you?" The man replied, 50. Abraham looked at him and said, "And you would bow down to something made only yesterday?" When his father returned, the idols lay smashed on the floor, a stick in the hand of the largest one. Terach demanded, "What happened here?" Abraham answered, "The idols quarreled, each claiming to be the greatest, until the largest one took a stick and struck the others." His father was furious. "You know they can't do that. They are just made of wood and stone." To which Abraham said quietly, "Then why do you worship them?" It's a simple story, and yet it captures an imagined moment when Abraham began to see the world differently, when what had once felt solid began to crack. Perhaps this was the moment when he realized that the life he'd always known no longer held the same truth. He could no longer walk the same path. He needed to begin again. We too find ourselves in a moment when we are not quite so certain. As we quickly approach the mayoral election, we may be trying to discern which imperfect path best reflects our deepest commitments. We may have voted along party lines our entire adult lives, but now find that what seemed like the clear direction in the past no longer holds the same clarity. Abraham is called to leave his land, his birthplace, his house, in the reverse order from what we might expect. When one leaves home, they first step out of their house, then their town, then journey towards a new land. But Abraham moves inward, not outward, from the external to the intimate, from the world around him to the world within. Over these past 2 years, our hearts have been directed towards our brothers and sisters in Israel. But now our focus turns homeward, towards the well-being of our Jewish community here in New York City. I have heard many say that the mayoral race is already decided. Earlier this week, at our program with Jewish Voters Unite, National Director Alana Cooper reminded us the only poll that really matters is the one that closes at 9 p.m. on Election Day. Historically, some elections in New York City have been decided by just a couple of thousand votes. And even if the candidate you vote for doesn't win, your vote will count. Abraham's life journey was not just geographical, it was moral, it was spiritual. His call was to fulfill his potential, that of the first Jew walking a path that would shape the future of our people. Much has been written in our tradition about how to handle difficult choices. The scenarios differ wildly, but a value that emerges again and again is that of protecting the community. Rabbi Hillel said, "Do not separate yourself from the community. And if the community is in distress, share in its distress." At this critical moment, may we be guided by our deepest Jewish values, protecting, strengthening, and supporting our community. These values will not only strengthen and support our Jewish community, but will help strengthen a city that serves everyone who calls New York City home with compassion, equality, and justice. Shabbat Shalom.